Hi, and welcome. You're listening to the X22 Report. My name is Dave, and this is episode 1764B, and today's date is January 13th, 2019, and the title of the episode is, As Predicted, Right on Schedule, Next Move Will Not Be Propaganda. Before we get started, we know the Deep State is watching and monitoring. We've been listening to Q, and Q told us that 8chan is the only board Q will communicate on. 8chan allows you to post anonymously, so why don't you search anonymously using a VPN? Virtual Shield does not keep logs, will never sell your data to a third party. This winter month, Virtual Shield is offering 30% off all VPN plans and all premium add-on plans for as low as $3 per month. And don't forget about IdentiSafe, which allows the customer the ability to block off computer, microphone, and camera access. So check out the link below and start protecting yourself today, because we all have the right to remain private. Let's get into the economic collapse, political and geopolitical news. Now, the Deep State, they're using all of their ammunition. They know they're going to be caught up in what is about to happen. They know there's no real Russian collusion, so they had to make it seem like this is much worse than it really is. So they said that Trump is now a Russian agent working for Putin. I mean, they just went off the charts here with propaganda. And they're doing this on purpose. We knew this was going to happen from the very beginning. If we go back to December when we were talking about this, we knew once the new year started and the House was sworn in, we knew they were going to go crazy. And this won't stop for a while. And they're going to use propaganda piece after propaganda piece because they understand what is coming. Now, if we go back to Lisa Page and her leaked testimonial transcripts, we see many different things within this. Now, from the conservative treehouse, we can see that the leaked info confirms prior suspicions of John Brennan. Now, if we go back to Lisa Page, she stated emphatically that the FBI investigative unit first became aware of the Steele dossier in mid-2016, September 2016. John Brennan, when he was the CIA director, he showed it to the Gang of 8 senators, including Harry Reid, in August of 2016. So he already had the information, the material. And then Page, the FBI, knew about it later on. So John Brennan, he was the conductor. And Page said, quote, "If the CIA had another source of that information, I am neither aware of that nor did the CIA provide it to us if they did. This cuts to the heart of the dossier origination." Now, think about this. Glenn Simpson hired Nellie Orr November 2015. He was hiring a CIA analyst and a Russian expert. Nellie Orr had research access to the FBI NSA databases. It is almost guaranteed Mrs. Orr's work in December, January, February, March was done by exploiting her contractor access to the database through the FISA 702-1617 searches. Now, the NSA compliance officer noted something very interesting back then, that there was an uptick in FISA 702-1617 database searches. And this was between November 2015 and April 2016. And by the way, this coincides perfectly with Nellie Orr's contract with Fusion GPS. So is that a coincidence? No, that's exactly when it happened. Glenn Simpson hired Orr, remember, in November 2015. Nellie took the material already assembled by Glenn Simpson and Mary Jacoby in years past and used her CIA access to the FISA database to prove it and enhance it. She eventually built out more evidence and expanded the research. By mid-April 2016, Nellie Orr had amassed a bunch of illegally obtained information surrounding the Trump empire, and additionally had information on Manafort and Russia. When Clinton got involved in April 2016, they needed to weaponize all of Nellie Orr's research. That's where Christopher Steele is brought in to receive the Nellie Orr information, laundered it into an intelligence product where it became the Steele dossier, and then inject it back into the intelligence community. CIA Director Brennan also knew of the material before the FBI did, because Brennan was part of the construction team. And Brennan was briefing Harry Reid in August 2016 on the dossier material a month prior to the FBI unit receiving it. Brennan created it. So what else came out of the leaked transcripts? Well, remember Q has been telling us that Mueller was put into this position as a blocker. Well, out of the transcript, out of the leaked transcript, we find just that. Mueller's investigation always held an ulterior purpose. So they created an investigation, and just by creating the investigation, it is then used as a shield by any corrupt FBI Department of Justice official who would find himself, herself, under downstream congressional investigation. Former officials being deposed, questioned by IG Horowitz or Congress, could then say they are unable to answer those questions due to the ongoing special counsel investigation. Mueller provides cover for all the deep state officials. They can use the investigation to keep any and all inquiry focused away from the corrupt Department of Justice and FBI between 2015, 2016, and 2017. Keep the media narrative looking somewhere else, anywhere. Use the investigation to suck up, absorb any damaging investigative material that might surface and might be pointed at the deep state. So we can see right here, Q has been telling us all along, and now the truth has come out with the leak of Lisa Page's transcript. Now, if we go back to post 2512, Q has been telling us that Mueller will face charges for Uranium One. He's working right now to save himself, which kind of tells us that Q and team might have control over what Mueller is doing. Now remember, Lisa Page said that the Department of Justice was making all the decisions for the FBI Crossfire Hurricane investigation. Lisa Page also let us know that she traveled with Peter Strzok in 2016, that's back in December, and also traveled with others, but they were not named. They went there to get intel on Trump and his people. How did they do this? Well, remember 5i. Where did they travel? They traveled to the UK. And if you go back to post 1721, Q back then shows us different pictures in UK. Shows us a picture of a man and a woman. Most likely Peter Strzok and Lisa Page, because Lisa Page did travel with Peter Strzok to the UK. And I believe Q at this time was telling us this is where Lisa Page got a lot of the information. So we can see that this was leaked on purpose. What is happening right now is Trump, Q, the Patriots, we are past the preparation stage. We are past the setup stage. We are now letting out information, dropping the carpet bombs. And we're going to see a lot more of this. And what we're going to see on the other side, we're going to see the deep state use propaganda to try to defend against all of these leaks coming out. And of course, what do they have? Trump is a Russian agent working with Putin, which is complete, utter propaganda. And we saw that come out in the New York Times, the Washington Post. And Trump was out there and he was being interviewed by Jeanine Pirro. And when asked about the report from the Washington Post and the New York Times where he was concealing some information when he was having a conversation with Putin, he said, this is ridiculous. I mean, it's so ridiculous. These people are just making this up. And he says, I don't care. He even tweeted out the following: I have been far tougher on Russia than Obama, Bush, or Clinton. Maybe tougher than any other president. At the same time, and as I have often said, getting along with Russia is a good thing, not a bad thing. I fully expect that someday we will have a good relations with Russia again. Now, Trump is out there and he's slamming the entire report as nonsense. It's complete propaganda. And they're using this because the whole Russian collusion thing completely fell apart. So now they have to take it a step further and say that he's a Russian agent, he's concealing information, and this is coming from, again, anonymous sources. Now, Tom Fitton from Judicial Watch was out there, and he tweeted out the following: I am outraged by today's New York Times report that FBI spied on real Donald Trump and that Mueller seems to have continued the operation. He also tweeted out, FBI retaliatory targeting of Trump is bad enough, but the seditious baton was handed over to Mueller's special counsel operation. Shut it down. Everybody knows what is happening now. The information is getting out there. And Trump went crazy with his tweets against the deep state. He said the following, "Wow, just learned in the failing New York Times that the corrupt former leaders of the FBI, almost all fired or forced to leave the agency for some very bad reasons, opened up an investigation on me for no reason and with no proof after I fired Lion James Comey, a total sleaze." Funny thing about James Comey, everybody wanted him fired, Republican and Democrat alike, after the rigged and botched crooked Hillary investigation, where she was interviewed on July 4th weekend, not recorded or sworn in, and where she said she didn't know anything. A lie. The FBI was in complete turmoil. See New York Post because of Comey's poor leadership and the way he handled the Clinton mess, not to mention this usurpation of powers from the Justice Department. My firing of James Comey was a great day for America. He was a crooked cop who was being totally protected by his best friend, Bob Mueller, and the 13 angry Democrats, leaking machines who have no interest in going after the real collusion, and much more by crooked Hillary Clinton, her campaign, and the Democratic National Committee. Just watch. Lion James Comey, Andrew McCabe, Peter Strzok, and his lover, Agent Lisa Page, and more, all disgraced and or fired and caught in the act. These are just some of the losers that tried to do a number on your president. Part of the witch hunt. Remember the insurance policy. This is it. And if you notice, he continually says Lion James Comey, and in other tweets, he says that everyone is telling him that he's not under investigation. And there's a reason for this. There's a reason why Trump has been setting them up. Let's just go back to April 2018. Remember when Rod Rosenstein told Trump the following, that he was not a target of any part of Special Counsel Robert Mueller's investigation? Well, here's some articles. Bloomberg. Rosenstein tells Trump he's not a target in Mueller-Cohen probes. But the FBI and the Department of Justice, they were lying to the president and congressional leaders. Trump continually has been tweeting this out, that he is not under investigation because they told him this. If you notice, he's also calling James Comey a liar. There's a reason why he's doing this. He is setting them up. He already knows that he is under investigation. Why else is Mueller there? So he is setting Rosenstein, Comey, and the rest up because they've been put on record saying that he is not under investigation. Trump is tweeting out that they told him that he's not under investigation. But what happened? The FBI, Department of Justice, they lied to the president and they lied to congressional leaders. Didn't they say Flynn lied? Well, if these people lied, guess what? Should they all be accountable for their lies? Of course. He is setting them up. All of this is now on public record. Now we can see that the Democrats, they are on vacation right now. They're not there talking with Trump. And Trump is out there and he's tweeting like crazy about the shutdown, about the wall, about DACA. And he tweeted out the following. Democrats are saying that DACA is not worth it and don't want to include it in talks. Many Hispanics will be coming over to the Republican side. Watch. Now, Trump continued to call out Democrats for punting on negotiations to end the shutdown, perhaps referring to the 30 Democrat lawyers reportedly attending a retreat with lobbyists in Puerto Rico. And there are pictures of these individuals in Puerto Rico on the beach, relaxing in the sun, while the government is shut down. Trump tweeted out, Democrats should come back to Washington and work to end the shutdown, while at the same time ending the horrible humanitarian crisis at our southern border. I am in the White House waiting for you. He also tweeted out, "I'm in the White House waiting. The Democrats are everywhere but Washington as people await their pay. They are having fun and not even talking." He continued, "The damage done to our country from a badly broken border, drugs, crime, and so much that is bad is far greater than a shutdown, which the Dems can easily fix as soon as they come back to Washington," letting everyone know that they're not here, that they're not even trying to speak with Trump. And Trump threw out another tweet and put out facts about the border. 23% of federal inmates are illegal immigrants. Border arrests are up 240%. In this great state of Texas, between 2011 and 2018, there were a total of 292,000 crimes by illegal aliens, 539 murders, 32,000 assaults, 3,426 sexual assaults, and 3,000 weapon charges. Democrats come back, and he's continually pushing this out there. Now, the mainstream media, they are pushing their agenda using all the ammunition they possibly have. And they're trying to control the narrative because they know exactly what is coming. Trump tweeted out the following: "I just watched a fake reporter from the Amazon Washington Post say the White House is chaotic. There does not seem to be a strategy for this shutdown. There is no plan. The fakes always like talking chaos. There is none. In fact, there's almost nobody in the White House but me, and I do have a plan on the shutdown. But to understand the plan, you would have to understand the fact that I won the election, and I promised safety and security for the American people. Part of that promise was a wall at the southern border. Elections have consequences." So the fake media is out there using their old story that the White House is completely chaotic. Well, it's not really chaotic because no one's really there, so there's really no chaos. Trump is waiting for these individuals to come back and talk to him, and they think he has no plan. Well, he's not going to broadcast the plan. The main plan is to build the wall and to have the House fold on this. The secondary plan is to use a national emergency. And I don't believe that they're going to be using that just yet. They put it out there to get them all panicking. Now, we see with Bolton, there's a report that came out that the Pentagon was going to provide the White House with military options to strike Iran. Remember, Bolton is in this position, and I do believe others are in their position like Pompeo. They're all in these positions for a specific reason. They want to keep the mainstream media, the deep state, very, very busy. Having Bolton, Pompeo, and all these individuals out there say one thing, it means the patriots behind the scenes can do another. Let's think logically for a second. Trump stopped the crisis in North Korea. He's pulling troops out of Syria, Afghanistan, in the process of peace talks in Yemen. But yet, he was looking to draw up some plans to fire missiles into Iran to start a war. Does that make sense? No. This was the deep state, the neocons' plan. This is what they wanted to do, because remember, their ultimate plan was to control the entire Middle Eastern area. And there's a reason why Bolton is there. There's a reason why all these individuals are there. They're there to keep the mainstream media very, very busy. Because look what's happening in Syria right now. The Syrian government is seeking to intensify the ongoing peace talks with the Kurdish-led Syrian Democratic Council. They went on to say, and this is coming from the Syrian foreign minister, "We hope for the intensification of dialogue. Many of the Kurdish statements were positive regarding their concern for the unity of Syria. We are confident that through dialogue we can deal with some of the demands, and this dialogue guarantees that as long as it's based on commitment to Syria's unity." So the Kurds and Syria, the Syrian government, they are talking about unifying and working together. This whole thing about protecting the Kurds, and this is all the story that the deep state is meant to publish to keep everyone very busy with that, while in the background, the real work is being done, where the troops are being withdrawn from Syria, the Syrian government talking to the Kurds, They're going to be unified. We're going to see troops being removed from Afghanistan, from Iraq, and many other Middle Eastern countries. The deep state, remember, their agenda was to control this whole entire Middle East. That is completely falling apart. I want to go back to Q's latest post. This was post 2669. And we do understand that the trade delegation that was sent to China have completed their mission. So the person heading to China must be traveling covertly. So is this person part of the trade talks, or is this something completely different? And this might be completely different. Now, we mentioned that this picture was taken in an airport in China. This is the Shanghai Pudong Airport. And we can see from the signs it's gates 2A and 2C. But there's something else in the photo, which we'll talk about in a minute. I want to go back to Q's post with Feinstein, post 2345. And we can see Dianne Feinstein, this is during the Kavanaugh hearings, where she has her hand up. She looks very angry, and she is talking to Murkowski. Now remember, Feinstein was leading the smear campaign on Kavanaugh. Let's go back to post 2378. This was back in October 2018, and Q referred back to post 2277, showed a Mercedes in China, and this turned out to be Feinstein. And Q also put up some articles about, a Chinese spy working for Feinstein. Of course, she said she didn't know anything about this. She was on the Intelligence Committee. So, taking all of that into account, let's look at Feinstein's tweets lately. She tweeted out the following, January 12, 2019. All of this fear and uncertainty could end if President Trump would just drop the unreasonable demand for a useless border wall. Democrats have respectfully offered to let the rest of the government reopen while we continue negotiations over strong border security measures. Here's another tweet. It's becoming increasingly clear that President Trump is incapable of grasping the reality of the situation. It's time for the Senate Republicans to join us and vote to reopen the government before the president's shutdown causes more harm. Here's another tweet by Feinstein. Protecting Special Counsel Mueller's work must be top priority. I'm pleased to gain co-sponsor legislation introduced by senators to ensure there's no political interference with the investigation. Let's get it done. And she did this to Chris Coons, Lindsey Graham, Tom Tillis, and Cory Booker. This was January 10th, 2019. What does Mueller do? Mueller protects certain individuals. At least this is what the deep state believes. So now I want to bring your attention to Joe M. and his tweet. And it says the clock is ticking. Then shows a picture of the picture that Q put up of the airport. Now, when you look at this picture and you look by the pole and we zoom in, there is an individual there. And that individual, it's blurred, but Joe M. takes a picture of Dianne Feinstein's head, and it kind of matches. This could be her in the airport. Now, I looked all over the place, couldn't find her itinerary, so she must be traveling covertly. I have another picture that zooms in once again to show the individual there, and it kind of looks like Dianne Feinstein. Same hair, same type of look, same everything. So this might be her, because there's always a reason that Q puts these photos up, just like the one that we saw of Lisa Page. It was blurred, but we've come to find out that it is Lisa Page. Here, Q specifically, and this is a real picture. This is not, something that was put on the internet. This was a picture that was taken at a certain period in a certain period of time. And it really looks like it's Dianne Feinstein. And we have to go back to the post. Why is Dianne Feinstein there? What is her purpose? Well, remember, she might have been selling secrets to the Chinese. Is she there to protect herself? Is that her purpose? It's kind of looking that way. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.